World of Warcraft will be dead in 5 years. Here's why. All right, let's find out. 5 years,
What
more
I
like
think
2. Yeah, true, man. This shit is done. Oh, it's over.
they're doing wrong is just simply not adapting to the audience. During WoW's lifetime, as different genres have become more popular, Blizzard have not implemented these popular genres into their own game. Even if
I agree with that. I actually think that they should have a they should have like Fortnite and WoW. That would be really cool.
it's just like a little essence of these popular genres. Instead, we've got new features like pet battles, scenarios, island expeditions.
I don't know. I feel like the pet battles, scenarios, and island expeditions, islands were only bad because you had to do them. The other two, people generally like them, or they don't participate in them.
Alright guys, today I'm going to talk about why I think World of Warcraft is going to be dead in 5 years. Now,
Wow.
this isn't clickbait or anything. People have actually been saying
This isn't clickbait or anything. All right, let's find out why.
World of Warcraft has already been dead for years now. So we're going to be analysing.
I love how any screenshot that anyone has
already
of
been
a
dead.
YouTube thing of like WoW is dead, there's every single one of them has a clip of one of my streams. WoW is dead again, LOL, lowest ever, me smiling, it's Belluor.
For years now. So we're going to be analysing why do people say that? And why can we all agree that World of Warcraft definitely isn't the absolute titan of the gaming industry anymore?
I mean, if you put World of Warcraft and Warcraft Classic together, you have 1.1 and then 5 basically. You would obviously have 1.6, which would put it ahead of Final Fantasy. It would be number 1. So, like, I don't know. I mean, that's one thing I would say. Also, like, any of these websites, by the way, are completely inaccurate. Like, there's no way that they obtained this data that has any sort of, like, legitimacy to it whatsoever. Yeah, all of these informational websites are just complete garbage.
One of the really big things is World of Warcraft has simply not adapted to the audience. When I say the audience, I mean the population of the planet who spend their free time playing video games.
Okay.
Their tastes have changed, and WoW has not adapted to that change in taste.
I think it has. I think that WoW has adapted a lot, and I think examples of WoW adapting is things like, you know, them adding Group Finder, Dungeon Finder, War Mode, like giving people other ways like Mythic Plus, like having different rating sizes. Yeah, it's adapted a lot.
To best understand why WoW isn't the titan of the industry anymore, we have to analyse the actual why.
Okay, so we have 2015, where it's right here, and then 2016, and do you want to know why there's an asterisk next to every single one of these? Is because the person who made this graph, there's literally, like, you're going to make an argument that it didn't even go up at all for Shadowlands, or sorry, for BFA? Absolutely not. It didn't even go up at all for Shadowlands? Absolutely not. Yeah, this is all an abstract because it's an extrapolation of data. It's crazy how people. I really think they need to start teaching, instead of Algebra 2, they need to start teaching statistics. Please start teaching statistics in school.
WoW isn't the titan of the industry anymore. We have to analyse the actual titans of the industry, and I think that boils down to 3 different online game genres.
Okay.
The MOBA, the Battle Royale, and kind of the survival game. So MOBA...
I would agree with that, but I also think that there's like a massive genre of games that are just phone games. Like, phone games are bigger than all of these. Like things like Clash of Clans, stuff like that, auto battlers. These are huge, and you just don't see them at all. And I think this is kind of the point that I'm making, is that, like, you're not seeing those because you're only thinking about this contextualized around like PC gaming.
There's going to be stuff like League of Legends and Dota, Battle Royale, Fortnite and Apex Legends, and then survival games like Minecraft and Valheim.
Yes.
And there's also some objective-based shooters in there like CSGO, Valorant and Call of Duty. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the...
CSGO, Valorant, I mean, like, I think shooters... Really, Valorant is the... I think Valorant did cannibalize a lot of the CSGO audience, and I do think that new people coming into the scene, like, if you're 13 now, are you going to start playing CSGO, or are you going to start playing Valorant? I think that most 13-year-olds are going to decide to play Valorant. Now, I have no data on this. I don't know this, but I'm just guessing.
Channel, you get loads of subscriber-only content. Just go to my channel page where you can check that out. Now, these genres are definitely the new titans. WoW is no longer a game with 30 million people playing it like it was at the peak of Wrath of the Lich King, because these other games have adapted to the changing interests and tastes of the audience of...
Slovensko, I am assuming this is probably some country in Europe. This is probably not worldwide, is it? Slovenia? Yeah, it's not worldwide. Yeah, so was World of Warcraft even available in Slovenia whenever it came out? I have no idea. It would make sense that it was extremely low because it probably wasn't available in that country or it wasn't very popular in that country. And I would assume that people like it. It could also be a technological thing over there too. But like I'm just saying like using a graph like this and then saying like, oh, well, because it was low in this one country, like, this is not a very good argument.
The player, the consumer, whatever you want to call them.
You should have done worldwide.
MMO is very weirdly more of a niche now, despite its very unique selling point, which is being inside a huge online living world with other people in it from around the world.
This was nuts, bro.
That's one thing that MMOs have that other games don't have.
It's so cool.
Now, the problem with MMOs is they require a huge budget and a lot of graft to make in the first place, and to keep new content being released for that game. When you...
Oh, yeah. Let me go back and look at this again. MMORPG touched $63 million to develop. We include the cost of its development and marketing. It adds up to over $200 million. Seems like a lot. World of Warcraft, now one of the most profitable games in the world, grossing over $9 billion. Yeah, I mean, of course, WoW makes a lot of money. That's a lot of WoW tokens.
And to keep new content being released for that game.
Yeah, of course.
When new MMOs are released on the most part, they just don't have enough stuff to do to keep players playing the game. They always feel like they've released early without enough content. Near enough every single MMO release has felt like
Holy
this.
Shit, thanks.
What jumps to mind is Star Wars Republic and New World.
I think New World has improved on this a lot, and nowadays I think New World is doing a much better job retaining players. You can see this if you just look it up on Steam charts. Let's see here, New World, there it is, charts as well. Like, this is a massively successful graph. Like, I would consider this a W graph. Abso-fucking-lutely. And it's retained a lot of these players. Obviously, this is whenever the big event happens. And even now, with Dragonflight out, etc., it is at a higher player base now than it has been since, I guess, February of last year. So it's been... It's been tremendously improved. And I think that also, like, other games like Lost Ark, for example... Let me see if I can pull it up right here. Lost Ark has dozens of people, I'm sure, that are dozens of real people, I'm sure, that are playing the game. I mean, I would argue that there probably could even be hundreds. Yeah, I think that it's quite possible that there could be hundreds of people playing Lost Ark right now. That's incredible. Wow. Realistically, I assume that number is probably somewhere around 100 to 150K. I would not be surprised if 2/3 of the population of Lost Ark right now are bots.
And this is the MMO's weakness. It requires new content, a lot of new content, a lot of manpower, and obviously woman power.
Obviously. Well, anyway, that's not really true. You see, like, you have fresh servers that come out all the time, and that's new content. I think a great example of this, again, is New World. So if you look at the New World graph right here, whenever the content actually came out was, like, right about here. It was, I think, right here in September or, like, something like this. And the content didn't really come out, and people didn't really come back to the game until they did, like, the big Return to Eternum event. And then it got a lot of people coming back playing the fresh servers, which fundamentally are not new content. They're just fresh servers. And that's what retained even more people than the new content did. It's dying again? Well, that's the way every game goes. Like, every single game, it doesn't matter if it's Final Fantasy, Fortnite, or anything. Every game is like this. It's like this. And like, every single time, this is new content. This is new content. And this is the release. Yeah, that's the way it works every time. Every game works this way.
Regularly to keep players playing, and it costs a lot of money and development time. This, for instance, could be more raid content and more dungeon content releasing every few months, whereas the other titans of the industry have one key element absolute truckloads, and that's replayability. League of Legends and Valorant, for instance, have...
World of Warcraft doesn't have replayability. I would disagree with that. I think that World of Warcraft does have a lot of replayability. Like, for example, people go back and they do... How can you say World of Warcraft doesn't have replayability whenever Classic WoW was the biggest game in the world in 2019? How can you say WoW doesn't have replayability whenever Classic Wrath was more popular on social media than Dragonflight was? Like, it's not true. WoW has a tremendous amount of replayability. People go and they do the same 8 dungeons in WoW and Mythic Plus for 2 years. And I think that is a problem. Yeah, WoW has more replayability than any other game. And I actually would argue that WoW needs more replayability even, because he is partially right. Final Fantasy has better replayability of raids. WoW has better replayability of dungeons. And I would love to see the old raids in WoW have better replayability.
Insane replayability with much less development time required.
And also, I think this has been a massive improvement with alts and Dragonflight 2.
People have been playing the same League of Legends map for years. I mean, granted, it has changed a little bit, but more or less it is the same. In order for a MOBA to maintain replayability, they need to release new champions, revamp old champions, and change elements of the game from time to time. This is much less effort required than making an entire new raid every few months or a new dungeon. Because doing the same PvE raid for 6 months on end just simply isn't fun, and it gets boring, and it's why people quit retail World of Warcraft. It's why there was a huge nosedive of players after Shadowlands, and let's be honest, pretty much every single expansion launch, and it will probably happen very soon.
This is like, just like, total fucking bullshit. I don't know where this graph is coming from or anything like this. This is the dumbest graph I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, all of these numbers, because, like, these are all subscriber numbers, you know what I mean? Because, like, remember how it had Draenor, and then it went down by, like, 2.9 million? So, like, this is very clearly, like, these numbers are subscribers. To say that, like, Burning Crusade Classic only had, like, 800,000 people subscribed to the game, like, how do you judge this? Like, these are literally just people that invented numbers. And also, like, how are these numbers here not automatically... Like, if how do you have a graph like this, and at the same time, you also have a graph... Where's the other one? Where he showed, like, each yearly... Fuck. Let me see if I can find it. Damn. I don't know where it is, because I'd have to click through the whole video. But you saw how he had the graph with, like, the massive downward slope? So how can you have 2 graphs that are showing the subscriber behavior in World of Warcraft, and the graphs are conflicting? It's because they're both wrong. The best case scenario, one of them is right. Worst case scenario, both of them are wrong. This graph is so inaccurate that Microsoft already brought it. Yeah, it's so inaccurate, Blizzard already put it in the game. There you go. It just doesn't make sense.
For Dragonflight, Every MMO has the same problem, a huge nosedive in the player base after launch, and that's an issue because you want to maintain a solid player base.
PoE is not an MMO, but yeah, this is the same. What this guy is saying, like, this is not an MMO problem. This is a problem with every single game. Every single game that's not a competitive PvP game has this exact problem, and I bet Fortnite has this problem too, because a lot of these games probably don't share their updates. Like if you look at Elden Ring, for example. Even Elden Ring, most popular game, won Game of the Year. Yes, obviously it's going up now, but like, look, it went down. Like every game does this. You can only look at Steam charts and like use them as useful data if you understand how to interpret the data.
Long term. The other titans of the industry do this by optimizing the replayability of their games, and they adapt with the audience. I think Fortnite does this better than any other game.
I will agree with this part. I think Fortnite is probably the best example of a game that has adapted and changed over the years and gotten better and retained an audience. Fortnite is an amazing fucking game, and I think it's super fun. I played a lot of Fortnite over the years.
Adding new features to keep players entertained.
But I think this is also an issue if you want to talk about like other BRs. Apex Legends had this problem for a while. Apparently now they're doing a better job with it, with like having the game get stale. Warzone had this problem tremendously. PUBG has had this problem for years. And I'm trying to think, is there another BR that I'm not thinking of that's like super popular? I'm not sure. But yeah, this is a problem with every single game. It has nothing to do with like, it's not a unique thing with MMOs or with WoW.
And this gets us to the underlying problem.
Apex
MMOs don't
right now?
have this element of insanely addictive, replayable content. Well, they kind of do, but they only do for a few months before you get bored of the latest raid tier. And then
I think that if you look at it through the context of raid tiers being boring, let me see what he says about PvP here.
The PvP side of things, I mean, you could argue that there's much more replayability in rated battlegrounds
You could
and
make that
arenas,
argument, yes.
but definitely not on the same level of success as other big PvP games like League, CSGO, and Call of Duty.
That's totally true. He's totally right about that. Is that World of Warcraft will never have the same level of replayability that CSGO or Valorant will have in terms of BGs and stuff. The reason why is that the barrier to entry to playing different things in BGs is much higher than the barrier to entry to playing different champions in Valorant. And it's like, if I want to play a new, or not champion, well, champions in Valorant, but I actually meant League of Legends. Like, if you want to use a new gun, if you want to play sniper, you want to play like shotgun in PUBG or something stupid like that, you can immediately go and do that. But in WoW, there's so much prep time that you have to invest into being able to play a new character, then it just takes too long. It's the same as like Overwatch, for example. Like, the reason why Overwatch has a lot of replayability for me, like if I had to level up Roadhog to level 100 in order to play him in ranked and PvP, that would not be fun. I had to like go grind out like random robots and kill random robots out in the world. That would suck. And also, I think that replayability, if you look at replayability in an MMO in the context of current level end-game content, I think that you're only looking at it in a small window. Trixidix, thank you very much for the 20 gifted subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Stop trying to act like you know. I know so much better than probably anybody else here because I play these games all day. I make videos about them. That's why people watch my videos, is because I know this better than fucking anybody does. So yes, I'm not going to go and pretend like I don't know what I'm talking about. I abso-fucking-lutely do. The fact is that a lot of these games, there is a lot of different metrics that people use for replayability. Look at Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has massive replayability because of the FC system and the Guild Hall system. Is that in-game content? No, it's not, but it's MMO content. And MMO content, the reason why this comparison is wrong is because what he's really doing is he's comparing all of League of Legends to part of World of Warcraft or part of MMOs. Whereas there are different value propositions that every type of game provides. And a lot of the other value propositions that World of Warcraft and MMOs provide do not exist on the same spectrum as CSGO or League of Legends.
So MMOs and WoW are definitely doing something wrong, otherwise there'll be as much people playing WoW Arena than something like Valorant or even Overwatch. What I think they're doing wrong is just simply not adapting to the audience. During WoW's lifetime, as different genres have become more popular, Blizzard have not implemented these popular genres into their own game.
I actually agree with this to an extent. I think that Blizzard should have made a BR, or a Battle Royale version of WoW. I think it could have been added into the game with relatively no friction, and it would have been a universal improvement. How? It's simple. You just have people start new characters. You have people start new characters in one zone, kill different mobs. It's kind of like Warcraft 3, and everybody's their own champion. And then, you know, like the circle gets smaller, and then that's it. And guess what? If it doesn't work, then that's fine. I do think they should have tried it, though.
Even if it's just like a little essence of these popular genres. Instead, we've got new features like pet battles, scenarios.
I mean, new features. I mean, these are things that came out in like 2012. Like, that's whenever Mists of Pandaria came out. I mean, these have been in the game for a long time. And also, they got rid of island expeditions. I mean, scenarios are not in the game anymore. They are, but they're not. They've been kind of... But it's kind of like what they said whenever they had that developer interview and they were talking about how games evolved and like how their systems evolved. That's kind of what happened.
Island expeditions. Torcast, essentially a solar dungeon, the antithesis of one MMO should have. And now with Dragonflight, we have dragon flying.
I don't think that Torghast is bad. I don't like the idea that MMOs, like, Torghast is the antithesis of what an MMO should be. I think that's silly. I really don't like this mindset that a lot of like older MMO players have, that all MMO content needs to be group focused or it shouldn't be in the game. It's like so narrow, and like if you want to talk about not being able to adapt to what users want, and then you're holding on to antiquated ideals for a genre that's been made irrelevant in the state that it used to exist in, it's just not a very good argument.
Yay, dragonflying is definitely going to make World of Warcraft blow up again and save the MMO genre. Warfronts...
I don't think anybody thinks that. I do think that dragon riding is an improvement. Dragon riding is an improvement, and it does make the game better. It moves the needle more towards the W and less towards an L. Nobody says that.
Introduced in BFA were actually quite promising since they had MOBA elements, but they didn't do it right. It was such a wasted potential.
It's very true. He's totally right about this. Warfronts could have been amazing. Like, Warfronts got sold to me. The way that I interpreted Warfronts whenever they got announced is, this is a Warcraft 3 campaign mission, and you're the hero.
They should have made that a literal competitive PvP mode and just expanded on those features that they experimented with. And a lot of these features that they've added with new expansions, they've just dropped. They just haven't carried on these features to following expansions. Apart from...
Well, they have. They've just changed them. It's like how Blizzard said that the artifact weapon became the Heart of Azeroth and things like that. They just morph them into different things. And also, like, dragon riding is explicitly being added into the game to not be like that.
Mythic Plus, because their approach has been to abandon World of Warcraft to jump on this genre bandwagon. They made their own MOBA, Heroes of the Storm, which actually had 6 million players per month in 2018, and now it has something in the ballpark of 20,000.
I would be surprised if it was that many.
Why didn't they just implement features of a MOBA into World of Warcraft instead of making their own new game?
Well, they'd have to completely redesign the game. And also the reason why MOBAs are so popular is because they have very few abilities. So you'd have to remove everything that WoW is to make it like a MOBA, unless you had like a specific version. Also, like, yeah, there were a lot of people that, like, every game, like, Fortnite is not trying to be like Final Fantasy 14. CSGO is not trying to be like Lost Ark. New World is not trying to be like Valorant. Yes, there are games that have like kind of like overall good design principles that you try to like emulate in your own game. Sure. Yeah, if you make them abstract enough. But the truth is, like, just taking other popular games and then putting them in your game, this is not always a great idea. I think a good example of this is pet battling. Pet battling is nice. There's a lot of people that like pet battling, and wow, Sparkster, thanks for the 5 subs. I appreciate that. But the truth is that pet battling is really not. It's not that big of a deal. Like, this isn't this. People don't subscribe to WoW to play pet battling, right? In any sort of like a large contingency. I'm sure there are people out there that exist who do that, but it's very small.
You may think that's a bit weird. We'll talk about how I think a MOBA style battleground could very easily be implemented into World of Warcraft. But for a second, I want you to imagine, as MOBAs got more popular, that Blizzard added a MOBA-style competitive battleground into World of Warcraft with a ranking system. And then as Battle Royale became more popular, they added a Battle Royale-style battleground.
I would love this. I would love if they had a Battle Royale-style battleground. That would be really cool. I think they should try to do that.
They would have adapted to the audience and created an extremely replayable, fun game mode to keep playing.
I don't think that's true. I mean, there are a lot of cases, like in the same way that like adapted, like Pokemon is super popular, so Blizzard made pet battles, and our pet battles super popular and everybody loves them, and it adapted to the audience and kept World of Warcraft relevant? No, it didn't. Because like just because you make a version of something in your game doesn't mean that version of it will actually be popular. One of the other big reasons why things like Fortnite and these other games are popular is because they're free and you can play them on tablet and on your phone. So, yeah, I think in that case, yeah, you should make WoW playable on, like, consoles or something like that, absolutely. But it's not like anything that Blizzard does to try to get into these other markets is automatically successful, and I think that's shown as to be evident with the previous example that he even used in this video, which was Heroes of the Storm. Blizzard tried to make Heroes of the Storm work to compete with Dota and the League, and it didn't work. So why would you think it would work in WoW? Also, the reason why people play Dota and League, these are free games. You don't have to spend any money to play them. Also, you can probably play Dota or League on a much shittier PC than you can play WoW on.
Is playing the game while they wait for new raid content, and we give players multiple different options of good content to enjoy based on their own taste. They've taken a chunk of that MOBA audience and a chunk of that Battle Royale audience. Now, these audiences would never be as big as individual MOBA and Battle Royale games, but I definitely think that WoW would have maintained a larger audience and more importantly drawn new audiences and new players to the game. And this gets us on to another one of World of Warcraft's problems. I've met a lot of players over the years.
There are a lot of reasons why new players don't start WoW, and I think that the amount of people that don't start WoW because it doesn't have a BR is very low. I think a BR would improve the game, but a BR for WoW would have to be, like, ridiculously fucking good in order for it to compete with a free game with no barrier to entry. Even if it was the exact same as Fortnite, it was as good as Fortnite, people would still play Fortnite because it's easier to play.
And none of them
BR is a battle royale.
Mostly they are in their late 20s, early 30s, so it's only a matter of time before this audience becomes a person who suddenly can't play video games as much, because they have children on top of having a full-time job. I'm not saying everyone's going to have kids, but the point is the WoW audience is going to shrink. So who's going to be left playing World of Warcraft in 5 years? If there's barely any young blood jumping on the scene, in 10 years, the audience will shrink even more. Now, I'm not saying there aren't new players and young players coming to WoW. You know, you do come across them from time to time. I have once actually come across a classic WoW player who was in their early 20s.
Bro, he acts like it's like, yeah, there's this one time there was this guy, and it was crazy because they weren't 38 years old playing Classic WoW. Yeah, it happens. A lot of people that come back and play WoW. I actually think that for Classic WoW probably had more people that came into the game for the first time than any other expansion did. I think Classic WoW brought in so many new players. And I don't know how many people, like I heard, like, yeah, I started playing Classic WoW, and these are guys that are like 21 or 24, right? It's just like, that's the way it goes. There's going to be somebody who's 24 in 5 years. And then they can try and play the game. Sorry, I got to take a piss, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to fucking go downstairs. All right. No, streamer, it's time for chat to take over. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Wash your hands? No, why would I wash my hands, dude? I got a clean dick. Why would I do that? Never wash your fucking hands.
But this, it is incredibly rare. And mentally, younger people on the large part are very different. They've grown up...
And he's right to an extent about this. That, like, WoW definitely does have a problem of an aging audience. And what happens whenever something starts aging? It starts dying. Absolutely. I think that WoW should do more to retain new players, too. I think Dragonflight, they do some things to do that. But yeah, it's a huge problem. And that's one of the reasons why I thought Classic Plus would be a good idea. Because if they did that, there would be a fresh slate to have people get invested in the game again.
Different advancements of technology which inevitably changes their taste of video game. Because let's be honest, iPads are now bringing up children, not people.
True.
And I really can't imagine a 15-year-old these days sitting and leveling a character in vanilla World of Warcraft without getting bored and checking their phone.
That's probably true. Yeah, I think that for most cases that's true. It's probably more true now than it used to be. But yes, it is reductive.
Vanilla WoW is an extreme example, but my point is the MMO sometimes has a long and boring process required to fully unlock the game's content, which I simply...
Well, I wonder what he thinks about Dragonflight. I don't know if he played Dragonflight yet, but like the Dragonflight quest line to get to max level is extremely good. It's one of the best variations of leveling they've ever had. And I think that a 15-year-old could do that and it would not... they would not hate themselves after that? Yeah, sure.
I think that young people will just not have the patience to sit through because other games provide the endgame content literally instantly.
I think also like a good argument against this is Dwarf Fortress. So I didn't even know this, but Dwarf Fortress is massively popular. There are a lot of people that play Dwarf Fortress. You don't hear about any of them because you're not at a retirement home. The youngest Dwarf Fortress player is 39 years old. But if you go and you look at again, you look at Steam charts, this game is infinitely more complex. It is growing every single day. How many games ever come out and grow past the first day? Look at this. This is insane. Last all-time peak was 3 minutes ago. This shit is, it's going big right now. Valheim? Good point. Valheim is another example of it. And I think Valheim is very long form as well, though. The point that I'm making in general is that Valheim and all of these other games, whether it's something like Dwarf Fortress or Valheim, these are complex games. And just because kids don't play the games doesn't mean that they're not relevant.
Obviously, the point of an MMO is the world and the exploration, but this element shouldn't take multiple weeks if you want to draw a younger audience. At the end of the day, this younger audience hold the lifeline of MMOs in their hands. And MMO developers need to understand this. It's basic common sense a creator needs to understand. Whether you're a YouTuber, author, director, or game dev, you need to understand the audience and how to keep them happy because your success is entirely within their hands. If no one is watching or playing your content, well, guess what? You don't have a living. So how could these game modes from the titans of the industry be implemented into World of Warcraft? Well, the MOBA is quite a funny one because Blizzard had the scaffolding of the MOBA before MOBAs were even a thing, and it was stolen from them by a mod team.
That's true.
That's basically how Dota was born.
Defense of the Ancients. He's totally right about that. Yeah,
game mode
WoW was it. Warcraft 3 was the original MOBA.
Warcraft, and it really confuses me as to why it hasn't been done yet. The MOBA does not have to have a top-down camera view of the game. Smite has proved that. An original Archer...
Yeah, but Smite's not a popular game. Like, here's the thing. Let me look at Smite. Smite has 13,000 people that play it. Like it's just like you can't use an argument of a game that's like massively unpopular. Nobody plays Smite.
Already combined elements of PvE and PvP. So Blizzard have already done this years and years and years ago, but just haven't really done it properly. You could have your lanes, your 3 lanes or however many main lanes they want with the towers that need to be pushed. NPCs can push these lanes and attack each other. A leveling system in the battle.
I think if they wanted to do something like this, it would be totally fine, but I don't think that the way to compete against League of Legends is to make a game like League of Legends. Again, Counter-Strike is not trying to compete against League, because sometimes you want to... It's like KFC is not always directly competing against McDonald's. Yeah, obviously they're competing in a global scope, sure. But they're really competing against like Popeyes and fucking Chick-fil-A. Because if somebody wants to eat chicken, well, I guess you can get chicken at McDonald's. That's not a great example. Like Taco Bell or something like that. These are completely different types of food. And sometimes people want chicken, sometimes they don't.
Ground could happen that makes your character increasingly more powerful the more you get enemy champion kills and enemy NPC kills. There could also be items that you unlock with currency to boost your character's power or provide some kind of utility, or not, because not every MOBA has this element. You already have classes in the game, you could just play your class. You could have a jungle area with objectives or bosses to kill. I think Heroes of the Storm has already great ideas for features to add to an MOBA, like objectives and stuff. And obviously there should be a ranking system to motivate people to keep playing the game and get better at the game, and then rewards for better gear upgrades, because obviously in an MMO, gear progression does have to be relevant. You couldn't just have an MMO where gear does not have an impact on the game. Or at least every...
Yeah, you could. And I think that the problem that a lot of older MMO players have, and like WoW players have, is that they only think about what an MMO can be in the context of World of Warcraft. That's why you have so many antiquated ideas like, oh, you have to farm for this, or oh, this has to take a long time. But then you have other games that come out, like whether it be Lost Ark, New World, Final Fantasy, and they just say, no, we don't. And then they don't do it, and the game is fine. So I think that really it's about like thinking a little bit more outside the box that playing World of Warcraft all the time put you in.
Kind of content in the MMO shouldn't be like that. Maybe certain elements could be. They could take it even further and have error modes where you play your class in different states from different expansions. So for instance, you could queue for a Burning Crusade error mode MOBA Battleground where your class stats, talents, and abilities...
Yeah, so there'd be no more warriors playing current WoW because they'd all be queuing classic WoW all the time. Yeah, that would be great. I would love that.
Get adjusted to how they were in TBC, which could be a cool thing to do to mix...
You see a Rep Paladin and a BG in classic WoW like every 3 years. You're like, oh my god, there it is.
...things up. Because obviously the great thing about playing a MOBA is there's so many different champions that you can play. World of Warcraft wouldn't be able to have that because you just have certain classes in the game and you won't be able to change your class.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anything like that.
It's not the same game.
You could change possibly the error of your class. And this is the reason why MOBAs are so fun and replayable, because they make changes to champions and they add new champions. While classes do get changes, but they'll probably have to add new items or make changes to them so that the meta's changes stay interesting. For instance,
the reason why people don't play different types of classes in WoW is not because they don't exist. It's because the barrier to entry to playing them is too high. That's why. Nobody wants to go and level up a character for fucking 8 hours, 10 hours, and then gear out for another 5 hours, and then get enchants and buy enchants, and buy the current expansion of the game, subscribe to the game. Like, there's so many barriers to entry that, like, a casual player has before they can just log on and play World of Warcraft Battlegrounds or World of Warcraft Arena. Versus if you want to go on and you want to play CSGO, you can download the game and you can play CSGO immediately. If I want to play PUBG, I can go and I can download PUBG and I can fucking drop and I can play the game immediately. That's the reason why these other games are so popular, is because there's no friction between playing different versions of the game. That's why, this is a very unpopular take that I have, but I'm going to say it. I wouldn't care if gear was account bound instead of soul bound. So like if you got gear on your warrior, you could use it on your DK. I would be totally fine with that.
cooldown items in the game that you have to buy with a currency, which will bring an element to PvP that I think has been lost since Vanilla WoW, because, you know, obviously now you can't use grenades and...
Here's why nobody watches or does WoW PvP. Look at all these. How many of you guys know what all 11 of these buttons are? No clue. Yeah, exactly. And how about all of these? Or all of these, or all of these? Yeah. That's why WoW's not popular. That's why the PvP will never catch on until they simplify the game.
Controlling devices in Arena anymore, or your rocket boots. And I think Battle Royale is really simple to implement into World of Warcraft, but this would have to be the exception because gear would obviously make Battle Royale a bit unfun and unfair. Everyone would have to be...
I don't know how you can say gear would make BRs unfun or unfair. You have gear in a BR. It's your armor. Like in Apex Legends, you have your armor and how many plates. Well, in Warzone, you have plates. In Apex, you have your gear. He's effectively putting on gear right now with his shields. Like, it functions the exact same as gear.
On an even playing field.
What he's really saying is that bringing gear into the battleground. I think a fundamental of Battle Royales is that everybody starts in the same place.
You're like level 1 or max level. But just imagine jumping down into a zone in World of Warcraft where it's all free-for-all PvP. You have to pick up crates to get better gear and better weapons as you go along, or you can pick up utility items like health potions, grenades,
this would
whatever.
be really
Blizzard
cool.
Have a lot of fun with a game mode like that, and this
he's actually right about this. I think that if WoW wanted to explore something like that, they should have done it. Yeah, Tarkov isn't a BR. No, I know Tarkov isn't like that, and so is Dark and Darker. Dark and Darker is an extraction, like, it's an extraction game. Usually extraction games are high risk, high reward, and you come into it, you bring a lot of gear into it, but also you can lose that gear.
Should also have a ranking
so there's
system
a risk
with
reward.
titles, achievements, and cosmetics, and maybe
4
even
days
gear
until
rewards.
Dark and Darker comes out.
Why not give players multiple different ways to
out,
obtain gear and progress in the
new
game?
test.
I still think that, however, obviously Mythic Raiden should be the environment in the game where you get the best gear in the game, 'cause that's the biggest challenge of the game. That'd also be...
Mythic rating is the hardest content in the game. I think that you should be able to get equivalent gear if you do Mythic Plus at a very high level. I think that doing a Mythic Plus 30 is probably harder than killing Mythic Jailer after he got nerfed 15 times. Like, I would absolutely say that. The only reason why Mythic rating, you could make an argument that it's harder, is the logistical challenges. Like, logistically, it's just way harder to get 20 people online at the same time, which is really kind of that's kind of a bad way to say the game is, it's like, oh, it's hard because it's hard to get a lot of people together. Like, what the fuck?
Quite cool
not a fan of that.
Ways to level in the game. If people just want to play Battle Royale all the way to max level, then why not? If we're going to be honest, PvP in World of Warcraft has become incredibly stale. It really has just been the same game modes over and over again for the past...
This is another W with this video. Like, I know that, like, a lot of his argumentation was bad, especially with the graphs that he used. I thought they were very, very bad graphs. They even contradicted each other. However, but I think this is definitely true. When was the last time we got a new BG? We got Seething Shore. That was the last one, and they updated Deepwind Gorge, and in my opinion, they made it a lot worse. BGs have been completely fucking underrepresented in PvP development. They keep making new arenas. Who the fuck cares about the new arenas? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, oh wow, there's a new arena and there's 3 pillars instead of 4. Nobody's ever done that before. Oh wait, yeah, we did. We already have one of these. Oh my god, how many of these fucking arenas do we need? Like, add in a new battleground, man. It's so fucking boring.
10 years. I mean, they've added some new BGs, which were...
So, again, a new BG. You know when this got added? In 2012.
Bit.
Yeah, this is the new BG that came out 10 years ago.
You know,
He's
novel
one-shot
and
him.
new.
Oh, didn't? Damn. Should have charged it.
But what they really need is a totally new, fresh, revamped game mode. So let's come to some kind of conclusion. Why do I think, honestly, that WoW will be dead in 5 years, or at least it will have a much smaller audience than it has now? And I mainly think it's its failure to adapt to the changing interests of a gaming audience, other IPs have become titans of the.
If it wasn't for Dragonflight, I would completely agree with this. But I think that a lot of the design of Dragonflight is a direct reaction to changing audiences. I think Dragonflight has been a tremendous difference from what we've had before.
Industry, because they have made extremely fun and replayable content with a fast entry requirement, if no requirement at all.
Yeah.
Whereas World of Warcraft
The
has
entry
not
requirement for WoW content is the worst thing about it.
implemented these elements into their game. They have experimented
This
with
might be a very unpopular opinion, but I think that if you took a couple more abilities away from a lot of these other classes, and you gave them less buttons in general, and you just gave the way that you use the existing buttons more utility, it would make the game better. Because I think it's a big problem that there are so many buttons and so many things that are happening in the game. Zero mage button? Yeah, you take ret paladins from 1 button to -1 buttons. Exactly.
new features
there's
which
too much stuff.
ultimately failed,
Too many
and
buttons.
in some cases didn't even make it to the following expansion. And with a current MMO audience aging, and without MMOs adapting to draw in a younger audience, instead to replace the aging audience, I really don't see WoW and other MMOs in general growing in popularity in the next decade. They may even
WoW and MMOs growing in popularity in the next decade. I actually do think that MMOs will grow in the next decade. I think that people really like shared spaces, and again, you look at how many animes are super popular that are based around MMOs. There's like 2 or 3 really, really big ones. I think people love that shit. Absolutely. The problem is that the innovation in MMOs has been dead for a long time. And now, ever since, like, I would say probably 2 or 3 years ago, we're starting to see more innovation. And you're seeing people come back and play more MMOs. Like, you're seeing New World retain players. You're seeing Final Fantasy retain players. You're seeing WoW retaining, more players.
grade to the level.
Yeah,
of
like, if another really good argument against this, Riot right now is, I think, probably the, like, them and From Software are probably 2 of the highest, most reputable publishers of any video game publisher in the world right now. Like, Riot has published basically nothing but W's. Like, they have Valorant, they have League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, they did Arcane, which was massively fucking successful. Almost every single thing that Riot has done has been gold. They would not be making an MMO if this wasn't untrue. And I don't think that people like Ghostcrawler and the leadership at Riot are stupid.
strategy game. But who knows, when Ashes of Creation comes out in 2030, maybe everything will totally change and everything will be saved, and I'll be absolutely blown away.
Everything will be great.
And this video will not age very well. But anyway, guys, only time will tell. By the way, if you want to see more videos like this, which aren't necessarily going to be about World of Warcraft, it could be about any other game, then I recommend checking out my second channel, Night Goblin. You'll always find that in the description of all my videos. But anyway, my name is Night Goblin. To the next video, ciao.
I think that some of his arguments in this were very bad. Some of them were also pretty good. Like, what I don't like about this video is the fact that almost all of the argumentation that he uses and the supporting evidence that he uses for the argumentation, all of the data is wrong or bad. Like, you're using a Google Trends chart from Slovenia to determine the popularity of WoW versus Minecraft. You're using a chart that has been notoriously debunked that said that WildStar still had existing players even though the servers no longer existed. And then you had one graph that showed the growth of World of Warcraft subscribers changing dynamically based off of each expansion. And then previously before that, you had another graph showing the growth of World of Warcraft subscribers going down consistently year after year. So you're even showing 2 graphs that have contradictory evidence in the same video within 5 minutes of each other. So all of the evidence here is literal fucking garbage. And it's non-existent. And the evidence that does exist is completely projection-based. It's like, oh, well, these are the projected players of the game, or these are the projected subscribers of the game. Well, that doesn't really matter. Like, these are all projections based off of third-party tools that don't matter. Would you have a chat with him on stream? Sure. Yeah, of course. Why would I not want to talk to him about it on stream? Because I think that he has a lot of good points here. Like, the thing is, the second half of the video, I think, was actually pretty good. The first half was very bad, but the reason why they should do it is bad, but the fact that they should do it is true. I think that they absolutely should. Yeah, a lot of bad arguments, but I can get behind the wanting a better game part. Well, everybody wants a better game. That's not really very interesting. But overall, what I mean is, like, adding a BR into WoW would be totally cool. Let's do it. All right. Sure. Metagoblin wants to talk about the video. Yeah. You're watching my stream. All right. Let's do it. Let me go ahead and I'll message you on Twitter and I'll call you. Give me a minute. Let's see. Are you Metagoblin on Twitter? I am assuming, yeah, you are, because here's a picture of you at 2019 hugging Preach. Can you access your Twitter account? I'm assuming you can, but this was in 2019, so I'm not sure. I'll follow you, and I cannot DM you, and that way I can get your Discord. Yeah, can you follow me back, or at least open up DMs or something like that, so I can message you, and yeah, then we'll get it started. Give me 1 second. And if for anybody who didn't see it, this is the video, by the way. Okay, all right. Well, hopefully you add the right one. I'll go ahead and add you real quick. Alrighty. There we go. And I just sent you a request. Give me 1 second. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, all right. He is here, and yeah, I'll link the video for you guys again. And I've watched a lot of Metagoblin's videos. I actually, even though I don't agree with the data, I always appreciate a controversial video that I can make a fucking 1 hour react about, because I fucking love this. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna log on, and just so I can do a few things while we're talking, confirm it's the real one. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, give me 1 second here. I think this should be fine. All right, Metagoblin, what did you type to me on Discord? Yeah, so I know it's the right one. What did you type to me in Discord? The first message. Testing 1 2 3. All right, that's him. Okay, good. Let me call you. All right. Yo, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Yeah, I'm alright. How are you?
I'm chilling, man. What time is it where you're at?
8 o'clock at night.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. So you're like 6 hours ahead of me. Well, anyway, you saw my you saw my watching your video. What did you want to talk about?
Well, you can ask any questions you want.
Okay, all right.
Obviously, the main thing, I only caught the tail end now. I only caught you 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I've not watched the whole reaction.
Okay. Well, yeah. In general, I agree kind of with your point that like WoW needs to do more to adapt to audiences, etc. But I don't think that the data that you provided was very good, because it's all from third-party websites, and you provided like 2 different versions of the subscriber graphs of World of Warcraft, and they were contradictory. So I was not a fan of the data. And it's like that one website that like ranks all of the WoW or like the MMOs. I think that's just, it's a bullshit website. Totally bullshit. It put WildStar on the list, right? So like, obviously it's not super great. But besides that, I did like your idea of like, especially Warfronts. Like, whenever you first heard of Warfronts, what was your first impressions of them?
Well, yeah, because obviously, like, Warfront is nearly... Well, I mean, it's a long time since I played Warfronts, but, like, yeah. Warfronts were fairly similar to, well, obviously, what a MOBA is right now. Yeah, I just thought there was, like, a lot of wasted potential there. I really enjoyed playing Warfronts. It's probably the last time I actually played World of Warcraft. Retail World of Warcraft consistently. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with them, and I just felt like there should have, there could have been so much more to it.
I could not agree more. I was there at the stage whenever it got announced, and I was thinking, oh my god, this is just going to be like Warcraft 2. It's going to be so great. I love it. And it came out, and it was anything but. So, yeah.
Even if they just made it like, even if they just added a rated system to it, it would have been like twice as good.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it would have been like a relevant piece of content.
The worst thing about it, this might make me sound like an insane person, but if Blizzard said tomorrow, we're going to update Warfronts and make them PvP, and we're going to try to give it another try, I would say, fuck yes. Do it again. Try it again.
Were they not actually PvP? I thought, was it fully PvE? Or did they add a PvP later? It was fully PvE.
Yeah, they never added. They added a heroic version of Warfronts. Which,
yeah, that was it. Yeah,
that was a super.
That was the thing. Like, I didn't understand why it wasn't PvP.
I don't think anybody understood that. Well, actually, yeah, I do understand why. It's because if you had that many people in the same instance, it would lag out.
Yeah, but you could just add like 6v6 like MOBAs.
Actually, to be fair, I mean, did you ever hear about how like Deepland Gorge was originally supposed to be a MOBA map?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that's why, like, it had the 3 lanes and everything, and it just apparently didn't pan out for whatever reason, so Blizzard ended up not doing it.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I feel like when MOBAs did come out, MOBAs were like the thing. If Blizzard provided like something similar, you know, it could have been interesting.
Well, do you think that WoW is like, do you think that it actually is going to be dead in 5 years?
I don't think as many people will be playing it.
Okay, yeah.
Like it doesn't. I mean, it could. I mean, it could. Like you said.
Anything could happen.
If you're saying like Dragonflight is adapting to the changing audience, then yeah, I mean, obviously it could potentially.
Did you play Dragonflight?
I played a little bit of it.
How much?
Like a day. Like I did a video where I was like, all right, I'll play it for a day, see if it hooks me, and yeah, it didn't.
Oh yeah, why didn't you like it? What didn't you like about it?
I have to go back and watch the video myself, to be honest. It's just.
Did you play the release or the beta?
No, I played the pre-patch actually. Like I've not actually played like actual proper like Dragonflight because what the video was like about. I wanted to go in like as a new player, like almost like pretend to be a new player, just, go in blind, see what it's like.
I kind of did the same thing.
Experience it as a new player.
Yeah.
To be fair, if I had more free time, I probably would have like tried it out properly. But like, I really just did it, to make a video.
Okay.
To be honest.
No, I get that. I mean, definitely, I've done that with mini games and like mini types of things too. So yeah, I mean, have you thought about actually going and giving it a try? Because I think that a lot of the things that, like with the new talent system, did you play around with the new talent system at all?
Yeah, but that's definitely a massive improvement.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Some people argue it gives an illusion of choice, but
an illusion is better. At least an illusion fools some people. Not having any choice at all doesn't fool anybody.
I still feel like there's some cool options. Like you can make your build quite unique. Like 1 or 2 people aren't going to have the same build all the time.
No, that's definitely not the case, and I think that's a good thing. Being able to like change and adjust like 1 or 2 things based off of your play style. And I'm actually curious, so what other types of games do you play though? Like all the time? Like do you play PoE? Do you play like other MMOs? Like what do you usually play?
So I play WoW mainly. Sometimes I play certain private servers.
Okay.
Recently, very, very getting into a kind of vanilla, Nestarius-like private server, that kind of situation, but not for World of Warcraft, for Lord of the Rings Online.
I never played Lord of the Rings. About that.
Yeah, it's called Echoes of Angmar. I never played Lord of the Rings Online back in the day. And I mean, I've only played it. The little stress tests that I've been doing.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point where I am kind of almost saying it's like playing vanilla World of Warcraft on steroids.
What do you like about it?
It's for dungeons. I mean, I'm not going to say they're as good as like retail dungeons right now.
Yeah.
But they are just so much better than classic WoW dungeons. They're extremely difficult. The class design is very, very different. So like obviously you've got the Trinity in World of Warcraft, but then like in Lord of the Rings Online you've got classes which they are DPS classes, but they're focused more on like let's provide some useful debuffs to you know, the situational or useful buff. You know, like there's like the minstrel,
So you
there's
have
the
like
law
more of a
master.
spectrum of classes. It's not just tanky or DPS. You have like bards and other types of support classes that don't just fully focus
Yeah,
on damage.
and then you've got these like interesting fellowship abilities, which I don't really
Okay.
know too much about yet. But like you like sync like the party syncs up their abilities, and I don't know it kind of like one class will initiate it,
Uh
and then
huh.
everyone has to press a button on screen, and then it will initiate like a big super duper like ability, whether it's going to give them a big buff or a big heal
Did
or
you guys?
do loads of damage.
Did you ever play Final Fantasy 14?
No, I'm not like a fan of like the aesthetic. I don't think I'd ever be able to get into that kind of style of game.
I thought so too.
Like I'm
Yeah, I felt that way
yeah,
too
I'm
until
not
I
an
played it.
anime person really either. You know,
You're not an anime person, is that what you said?
no, yeah. I always think
Oh,
like,
okay. Why not?
could I
What
could I
anime have
talk
you ever tried
about?
to watch?
Well, it's more like could I admit I do this hobby to my girlfriend or my family? That's kind of what I think of.
There's a lot of
You know,
girls that like anime.
And their vile primalist
is
allies.
there?
You have no idea, dude. It is nuts. Like I was in the anime club in high school, and there were more girls there than dudes. And this was in 2007.
I remember the Anime Society at university. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was an absolute sausage fest.
Okay,
Really
all
stiff
right.
over here.
I guess maybe I got lucky there in that case. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a fan of anime. I like anime, but I do think that Final Fantasy, in terms of a story game, have you ever played any of the other Final Fantasies, or are you just not really a fan? You just don't really give a fuck.
I feel like I've played one of the games made by the same developer.
Okay, okay, yeah, by like Square Enix.
Yeah, but I can't remember. I played a bit of Ion. Was that made by them?
No, I don't think so. I think
No.
Ion has been dead for like 10 years.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. There's another RPG that they made that's similar.
So, what made you not really want to go hard on Dragonflight and like play it a lot?
Honestly, that's just time. Like I spend like 60, 80 hours, 60 to 80 hours editing videos
Uh-huh.
a week. So I don't have a lot of time to just sit and play a WoW. So no, mainly I'm just raid login, Wrath, doing a little bit of alt leveling, and then trying out, this Lord of the Rings online private server I told you about.
Well, I guess like what a better question is like what makes you want to play the Lord of the Rings private server more than Dragonflight? Because obviously, like you're investing a period of time into it. It's just not a very large period of time.
I think it's just the emphasis on group content and world content. Like
Okay.
the other video of mine you watched a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about how I've started playing that vanilla server again.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing that a little bit, and the amount of like crazy open world PvP, like almost like week-long wars and drama and
Yeah.
guild drama going on just in the first couple of weeks of that server is like the more I've socialized with anyone in World of Warcraft. I've probably socialized more in those couple of weeks than I ever have in Wrath or TBC
Really?
combined, to be honest.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I think that I probably made more friends. I mean, this is definitely true. I think that I probably made more friends in Classic than I had in any other WoW expansion, maybe than like Legion or something like that whenever I first started doing my streams.
Yeah, there's a lot of content you can't do on your own, like the open
Yeah.
world elite quest, which it's just a shame they just removed that in TBC. I think it's like one of the best things you can have in them. It was nice that New World had that, the end game.
How much New World did you play?
I played it launch pretty hard, first 2 weeks.
Okay.
Got
Did you play
kinda
any of the
stopped playing.
new version of it?
No, I've not played it recently.
Oh my god, dude, bro, you gotta start playing some of these fucking games, man.
Yeah, no,
You gotta
I
start
need
playing
more
these
to play, man.
games. They're
But
really
like
good.
this week, I had a few days off, well, a week off, and that's the first week off of that all year.
Uh-huh.
So
Do you work besides doing streaming?
no, I just edit videos full time.
Okay, okay.
I do a little streaming, but I really just do that for fun. It's not really the main career
No,
path.
I get that for sure, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you're able to like spend some time and like try some of these new games out, especially like streaming, etc., it would probably be good for you to like try to see what these new games have, because I think that in a lot of these cases, some of these new games are doing some of the things that you're asking for. And I'm really glad to see that, because I feel the same way that you do with like kind of a lot of these games that are you know, they like MMOs haven't really adapted. Like one of the MMOs, like their biggest novelty was let me see. Oh my god.
There might be a DC issue.
Yeah.
Oh no. Are you back?
Looks
Maybe?
like, am I back or not? Let me see. Saved. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, there. I think, are we good
Saved.
now, guys? Holy shit. I don't know what that was. I've been having really annoying DC issues. I thought I was actually going to go offline with that one. Yeah, we should be good. Press 3 in chat if you guys can hear me. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. 3, okay, alright, cool. Okay, yeah, make sure to let anybody know who's like fucked up or whatever, that just to reload. But yeah, anyway, being able to try out a lot of these games, like for me, I'll talk about like Final Fantasy 14. Whenever I started playing the game, it gave me a much better insight into like MMOs, because I got to see how another developer is doing it. And like there's a lot of things that I think WoW has or had for a long time that were like not really necessary. And it was really interesting to see a developer like Square Enix just say, actually, no, we're not going to have these systems anymore. We're going to do something totally different. And I think that's been a huge benefit. And Lost Ark did the same thing. Did you try that?
Well, I did a little bit, but I feel like you know, a lot of the you know, systems that have been added to WoW, like, you know, extra features, they've just been well, been received so badly they've not even like continued it into the next expansion.
Did you watch the?
Says a lot.
Yeah. Did you watch the interview with Preach that he did with like all of the developers and the guys at Blizzard?
I really want to watch that. I still haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I would absolutely recommend watching it, because they actually talk about that exact thing, where they're saying like, yeah, we actually did use some of these features, but in the same way that like they use garrison, or sorry, class order halls, and they turned them into like garrisons became class order halls, which became covenant sanctums. So like they try to adapt each expansion and add new things in that are like another version of that, but like a better version of it. But
That makes sense.
But I think that like really what you were saying, like with dragon riding and everything, how it's like not really a big feature. I actually think that could be a good thing with Dragonflight, because they're trying to add in features to the game that make the game better in the long term. And I think that's one thing, like you're saying, with these features that it really just doesn't have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, World of Warcraft needs a MOBA. I think everyone's like hyper focusing on that. I obviously did not mean that. I was just kind of trying to make a point that,
Yeah.
you know, World of Warcraft hasn't added a certain feature, a certain game mode, which is, you know, extremely replayable. You can jump into it very quickly, you know, because that's what's made, you know, other big games in the industry absolute titans. Is, you know, you can just play it straight away. Highly addictive, highly replayable. World of Warcraft, obviously, on other you know, MMOs, doesn't have that. And I feel like as you know, younger people probably don't have the same like patience and attention spans that we had when we were younger, when we didn't have phones, Amazon Prime, and internet dating, yada yada. You know, we could sit and chill and level up in, you know, vanilla World of Warcraft, and just like go out exploring in the world, making friends and along the way and stuff like that. But I just can't see like younger people, like, you know, I've got younger cousins and stuff like that. Like, I can't see them sitting around playing World of Warcraft. You know, they want to play something, you know, short and sweet and quick.
Well, what are they playing instead?
Well, just like, you know, the average game, like, you know, Fortnite and you know, the popular games. That's what they mainly play.
I mean, I think a big factor to that is like you have to level. Like, how can WoW add those into the game without it being completely antithetical to what WoW is? Because like you have, like for example, whenever you're playing Fortnite or you're playing League of Legends, you only need to know 4 abilities. Like, yeah, you need to know everybody else's abilities too, but you only really need to know a handful of abilities. With WoW, you have 20, 30 abilities that you need to know, and also 20 or 30 abilities in each other class. So I think that like MMOs, you're never really going to have a situation where MMOs ever like attract people like, you know, your cousins or whatever to play the game, because number one, like MMOs are harder to run. You can only run them on PC, so you can't play them on tablet or phone. Number two, like they're free. And number three, there's no leveling process. And number four, they're just simpler.
Yeah, I think like a balance. There should just be a bit more balance. Like obviously, in
I'd
like
like to see that too.
vanilla, it took about 7 days to level up, and that's like if you're quite efficient. I feel like you should spend like a week, like a good week or two, going out into the world, exploring, getting to know your class before you can unlock the real, the best content that that game provides. Whereas sometimes it takes, when certain certain MMOs take so long to level up. You spend like a month or two just to get to the end game content.
I think that for a lot of people that's true, but I'll be honest, it seems like you do not play games the way that myself and a lot of my viewers play games. We had people at 60 doing MC on week 1 in Classic WoW. Everybody, like my friends, like in New World, whenever they did fresh start servers, were 60 on day 1. Like, we play video games like they're a job because that's all we fucking do is play video games. So,
Yeah.
like, I think that absolutely, like, that's true for some people, but there's always going to be those hardcore players that just go hard as fuck and they're just done with the game in like 2 weeks. And I think really, like, this is what I was curious about with Dragonflight, and I would recommend, like, you should try out the leveling and see what it's like, because it's like, okay, well, the leveling in Dragonflight, and this is something that I've heard multiple classic Andys say, like people like Sfand, Stay Safe, people that are big in the classic community have said many times that Dragonflight leveling is good. Like they've enjoyed it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably quite difficult to please both types of players, hardcore players, more casual players, because if you make it more casual friendly, the hardcore players complain, oh, I've run out of stuff to do and I'm bored. If the game's too, grindy and it takes too long to do everything, then the casuals start complaining, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that, and you've got that little FOMO element of, oh, I have to log in and I have to do all this grinding and grinding. But
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
apparently, I'm hearing that's a lot of that's been lost with Dragonflight.
Yeah, there's a lot of the like mandatory fun elements of Dragonflight that are just not really there anymore. And like you don't have to do something that is similar to Torghast, because like how much of Shadowlands did you play?
Absolute zero. I don't think I even installed the game.
Really?
Having to get footage. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that you were watching.
I never bought.
Why didn't you want to play Shadowlands at all?
Well, I've got Classic to play now, so
Okay.
I just thought I'm not even going to bother buying Shadowlands.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I've already
Just-
playing
just
Classic
my
WoW,
box.
it's fine.
Lights my candle. Classic.
Well, what do you think about Classic Plus?
Yeah, I think that's the problem is like it's the same thing. Like so there's so many like elitist, purist classic people in the audience like, oh, no changes, and then there's people like, oh, just make a few changes and make it, push the boat out there. I think Blizzard just need to like maybe not even like market it as this is classic WoW, market it as something totally new, like rebrand it.
Like
Because if you
not
say,
OSRS, but like something different than that?
yeah,
as a
and then you
comparison?
can experiment with the idea of Vanilla Plus.
Okay.
Because because I feel like it'll just annoy too many people who don't want changes.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, I think that like if they made Classic Plus, I'd like to see a ton of changes with it too. And like I did actually really enjoy like New World, how much of like a shared world that had, like kind of what you were bringing up. I thought that was one of the best things about New World actually. And I hope more games have features that are like that, because I do think that MMOs, like you think about, and another reason why I asked if you watched anime is that like a lot of the really, really popular animes, like anime is for younger people. Is that something you generally agree on?
Well, no, it's for all ages, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. But I think there are a lot of young people that watch anime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
Pokemon. Everyone loved Pokemon
Yeah,
when I was
sure.
a kid.
And what I mean is like a lot of anime shows are built around like MMOs. There's like a show called like Sword Art Online, Log Horizon, Overlord, and I think there's one more that I'm just not thinking of right now. And all of these shows are built around MMOs, and they're extremely popular. And like Overlord is like one of the most popular shows out right now. And I think that what that goes to show is that there are a lot of people that like the idea of an MMO and like what MMOs have, and like the capacity of what MMOs can provide. I just think that a lot of MMOs right now aren't providing that. Like, they're not
Yeah.
giving people that shared space that they can exist in. I think that's something that seems like you like a lot with, you know, those like private servers and like with Lord of the Rings Online.
Now, there's the unique selling point of an MMO that you're not going to get from MOBA or Battle Royale game. Is,
Yeah.
you know, it's a constant. Like the other night, I was trying to explain World of Warcraft to my dad's friends. They're all in their 50s. It's always an interesting one. They're trying to explain how World of Warcraft is an actual online world, and it's just constantly there. And you just log in, and even when you log out, it continues to go on. You know. Yeah, and that is a unique selling point of an MMO that no other game or no other style of game, you know, has. So I feel like, you know, the MMO is never going to die because it has that element to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the things is like a lot of the people that play MMOs, especially like Final Fantasy, for example, like the reason why they log on to play the game is not because of the raid content or the PvP. It's because they have a lot of friends on the game and they want to enjoy their content with those friends.
Yeah, you've always got to go to where your friends, you know, are when it comes to gaming. I've always found when I've gone my own way, like played my own games,
Yeah.
I've always just like, you know, played the game for like a shorter amount of time, or I've just got. You just kind of get bored and sad and lonely, don't you? Sometimes, like a lot of my friends don't actually play World of Warcraft. So big parts of when I've been playing WoW, I've just been like, you know, been playing it on my own, and it's just not been as enjoyable. I remember early Mr. Pandaria though. I had an IRL friend who played WoW with me, and we had a guild together, had a bit of RPG guild together, and that's probably the most fun. Well, one of the most fun moments, well, time periods of me playing WoW. And we were absolutely terrible at the game, barely even able to even push 1600 rating in Rate of Battlegrounds, but still like the most fun I ever had because I was just it's totally new style of game mode, you know, RPGs that I was getting into, and. Yeah, we sucked, and it was painful because how bad we were. But it was like the most fun I ever had because it's just had that. Yeah, that social. I was like a co-maker of the guild, so obviously, it, you know, it was much more social in that guild, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so.
But now, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Well, I was just saying, like, yeah. Now I've always since then been much more of a like a lone wolf player in World of Warcraft. It's definitely not as enjoyable. I mean, in TBC. Again, I made pretty strong friends with someone who I made a guild with, and we had a really good time, like early TBC. But yeah, since then it's just it's not been as fun. It's always so much more fun when you're in a good guild. And the guild I'm in now, I shouldn't be saying bad things about them. They're also a really cool guild as well. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with them. But like, you know, I've been in some really like bad guilds, you know, over my time playing World of Warcraft.
Is that what caused you to stop
want
playing?
to socialize with. Sorry, I said that again.
Is that what caused you to stop playing?
I think so, sometimes it has done in the past, yeah, because there's just no point playing anymore.
So you're just like, yeah, you're burnt out from like playing with other people, etc. Yeah, I totally get that.
It's been IRL things for me. When I graduated from uni, I was following like a career path in digital marketing, and I was doing a long ass commute. I just couldn't physically get back in time to play World of Warcraft before everyone had stopped raiding. You know, stop their raid nights. So I couldn't even play the game. I couldn't even raid in the game, join a guild or anything.
No, I understand that. I had a night class one time, and it caused me to miss the beginning of my raid, and my guild fell apart because of it. So, yeah, I understand that all too well. Well, yeah, I mean, I would absolutely recommend try out Dragonflight. Maybe the thing is, I mean, this might be a very hard sell, but I do think that you should try out Final Fantasy because it's a game that, like, it is a massively influential game, right? In that chart that you showed, that was the #1 game. It's Final Fantasy 14. It's huge. So it's like at a certain point, you've got to go over and see what other people are doing and see how they're approaching things because there is a huge group of WoW players that moved over to Final Fantasy 14. And it was very interesting to me to go and play that game and see the reason why that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I will be in the future making content about other MMOs, so I probably will end up playing a lot of other MMOs.
That's good, yeah. Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea, man. Yeah, just fucking, you know, edit the videos less, play video games more, stream more. Hey, you know, that's what you should do.
It tells me that, but...
yeah. Well, I would also say do what you want to do, right? I mean, if you like editing the videos, that's what you enjoy, just do that. Like, I've gotten a lot out of editing videos myself back in the day, whenever I used to do YouTube all the time.
The cost of living in the UK at the minute is absolutely atrocious. I'm just working to the bone.
Well, do what you can. I mean, bro, like one thing, like I'm gonna tell you, like anytime you know you have a video that's going to be big, like, you got to get a Keep sponsor or some shit like that. Like, tell them, like, listen, all my viewers are 35 plus, all, like, fucking vanilla WoW players. They're already balding. Like, this is your target audience. Please give me money. Like, do those in video sponsors, man. People love it.
I mean, Rested XP has been a massive help. I probably wouldn't have been able to get through this financial crash in the UK without Rested XP. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes the income from Rested XP is more than YouTube.
No, I understand that all too well. I mean, I've seen my own YouTube revenue myself, but yeah, I mean, I do want to appreciate you coming on and talking about it. I mean, obviously, a lot of times, like, any time that somebody is critical about a video, nobody wants to talk about it. So I really appreciate you coming on and having a conversation about it, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, but just react to my videos as much as you can. You're more than welcome.
I absolutely will. And thanks a lot for coming on and talking, man. I'm going to go back and do some of my WoW stuff. All right, man.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
All right. In a bit. Ciao.
Peace. Let me go back over. And, all right. Cost of living in the UK is harsh, 100%. I had no idea about that. I didn't know at all. And, nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice guy. And, I think in general, and this is something that's going to happen for a lot of people, is like the more games that you play, I view it as like leveling up other professions or something like that, where like the more that you learn about the game and about other games, the better you can understand why things are the way they are and why things aren't the way they aren't. You see what I'm saying? Also, like, we have to do these 5-man dungeons. Like, I want to get at least 2 of them done right now, and then we're going to do the transmog comp, because I want to do that as well. Let me go back over, and we will make a group for that. I don't know how many of these we're going to have time for. It depends on how much time we have it. Asmongold, 5-mans. And we're going to take the same group, except for if McConnell wants to come, we will invite McConnell instead of Tiger Panda, because I know Tiger Panda already has the mount. So we'll see what happens. We need a Loy. Yeah, okay, Loy is here, and Drogear is here as well. Okay, great. So we have 4 people. Where is McConnell? Let me invite him. Okay, is he going to take the invite or not? He's online. Let's start with Azure Span, the Azure Vault. There he is. All right, let's do it. Let's get this shit done. We're not gonna talk about chat? No, I think things went pretty well. I mean, obviously, I think that, again, like, this is one thing that a lot of people have been, like, really negative about WoW about, and this is why I asked him if he played Dragonflight at all. Roll them any range group pumpers, or cheese it with Demon Hunter and Blood DK. Yeah, I might have to do that. We'll figure it out. Did you see the health bar? Wait, which health bar? Have you watched Riot MMO loot ideas? No, I have not seen that yet. I'd have to watch it at some point. I just haven't yet. What mount am I going for? It's like a lava snail. I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure, at least. My chat go sub only. Chat went sub only because, like, usually, I mean, I don't want to have, like, whenever somebody comes on my stream, I don't want to have a bunch of people on my stream talking shit about them. Like, it makes me look really bad whenever that happens. And it makes my community look bad, and it makes me look bad. So, like, people are being pretty hostile because they were like, oh, well, you didn't play Dragonflight enough, like, you shouldn't be talking about it or whatever. And it's like, that's fine to say that, but, like, the way that people say it can sometimes be, like, just too aggro, and it's gonna make people uncomfortable coming on stream. So, like, it's okay to disagree with somebody. Like, I'm not saying disagreeing with somebody is bad, or, like, you don't have to like somebody, but the way that you express not liking somebody, there's a spectrum of hostility to that, and if the spectrum is if it's too much, then, yeah, I'm just like, okay, we can't do this. I should work on your community if you're embarrassed by us? I don't really think that's the case. I think that this is just something that happens on Twitch. I don't think it's something that has to do with my community. Like, for example, like, there's a lot of other communities. Like, if you say certain things on stream, people are going to say this no matter what. I think it's something that's just on Twitch. Because people are able to, like, anonymously just, like, put in their 2 cents instantaneously, without any sort of like barrier. They just immediately type and talk shit to somebody without even caring. So like there's nothing I can really do about that. Like I can't go and like say, oh, you can't do this or whatever. It's just like you're gonna have people like that. Like there's a lot of people that go on Twitch to talk shit about people. Like that's just what happens. They do it to me too. I don't think it's I don't want to let you I don't want you guys to think that it's your fault. There are just a handful of people on Twitch that are super vitriolic and love being hostile to people like that because they finally have a person that they can like shit on. So I know it's not you guys. Like 99%, like there was probably like whenever I really think of the number of how many people it was like maybe, I don't know, like 80 people, like maybe, like at the most, like probably not even 100. You monked, we're here if you want to help me summon. Do you need this? I do not. Thank you very much, man. So yeah, criticism was valid. People aren't flaming him for no reason. You're talking about two different things. So criticism being valid doesn't mean that any way that you express that criticism is also valid. So I agree that your criticism is valid, but just because you express criticism that is legitimate in a way that is extremely hostile, that's also bad. Criticism is the same thing as insults. Yeah, exactly. Opinions in your community typically formed around assholes, not the average user. Yeah, that's true. But I don't want anybody in the community to think like, oh, well, fucking like I'm shitting on us or something like that, like or I'm mad at you guys or like disappointed in you guys, because it's not you guys. It's just a handful of people. Like in no way, shape, or form is this your fault. Like don't ever think that. Yeah, constructive criticism. Is this about Destiny thing? No, I didn't really talk about that. I mean, I don't know like everything going on with that. Like I've said before, like I mean, you should just never categorize people by race. You should never make racial jokes towards people that you don't know. That there's not like a existing rapport about. It's bad form. So that's what my opinion is on it.
My vault is
okay,
maintained,
so
but
where's the
harmless
next
is
one we have to
not
do? Give me a minute.
These whelplings perceive anyone not of my blood as a threat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I don't know why we're still talking about this, to be honest.
If they see you,